So much talk in that division, you know, Devin Haney, Gervonta Davis, you know, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, like we just said before, George Kambosos. Where do you see the pinnacle in that division from an outsider's point of view? Is who is the top gun at 135 in your opinion?
Well, you have to say Devin now. You know, can the others beat him? You know, that's another question. I mean, I rate Tank Davis very highly. You know, very, very. You know, he's a big puncher. He's extremely skillful as well. But Devin has to be the top dog. He's the undisputed champion right now. Ryan Garcia is probably the biggest draw out of all those guys. Hasn't yet been tested. I mean, had a good win against Luke Campbell, got dropped in that fight. Can he beat Devin Haney? Can he beat Tank Davis? I think the biggest fight in the division is Ryan Garcia against Tank Davis. To be honest with you, I think that's just a big mix of audiences, a big mix of fan bases. It's just a huge fight. So, but there's some great fights in the division. I mean, let's not forget about Vasily Lomachenko. You know, he may beat them all because when he boxed Teofimo Lopez, he did have an injury and he wasn't 100%. But can't take anything away from Teo. You know, but Lomachenko, Haney, Garcia, Tank Davis, great division. Let's see them fight each other. And Kambosos, you know, let's not completely rule him out yet.
Gervonta Davis, you've been vocal about some stuff with him and Floyd Mayweather, Leonard Alibi before that. Leonard's been vocal. Tank's big win over Roland Romero dusted him. Where do you see Tank, in terms of the Mayweather scenario, staying with him or going free agent?
I don't really know. I mean, we had a legal letter from Leonard Alibi and Mayweather Promotions telling us to ultimately stop talking or mentioning Gervonta Davis or approaching him or whatever they thought we were doing. The reality is we have no idea. I presume that means he's still under contract to Mayweather Promotions. I also saw them say that Tank, that was his last fight with them under his contract. So when does that contract expire? What we won't do is approach any fighter that is under contract. Yeah. So you know, if an opportunity comes to talk to him and he's not under a promotional contract, we will make him a huge offer. But let's see. You know, I think he's a big draw. And by the way, you know, you'll come on to Leonard, but they've done a good job with him.
100%.
You know, and I don't knock that. You know, he's a big draw, but he's also a great fighter and an exciting fighter. So it's easier to do that kind of job. But I feel like Mayweather Promotions have done a good job. The problem is with a pay-per-view fighter, the model that we use is we let those fighters own the pot of money and we work for them. That's not probably the model that they use, and Tank will be looking at these stadiums that he's filling and looking at the pay-per-view numbers going, who gets what here, you know? And with our biggest stars, whether that's Canelo, whether that's AJ, you own everything and we work for you, and that's the model we'd apply to a star like Gervonta Davis.
Correct. And is that something that when you started first working with Canelo and Eddie Renuso and Chapo and the team, was that something that enticed Canelo to work with Eddie Hearn?
Yeah, I think so, because I think for years and years, there's been kind of like this, the fighter works for the promoter. It should never be like that, you know, and we work for the fight. It doesn't matter whether it's, you know, Canelo Alvarez or one of my kids who's making his debut. Yeah. They're my boss. I work for the fighter. These promoters, they can't get those words out of their mouth. You say to Bob Arum, right, say these words, Bob, you work for this fighter. He might say it, but it would kill him inside to say it. Whereas we have to remember, they're the talent. You know, they're the ones that are making this happen, you know. Sorry? Really? Okay.
Last question. Yeah. You've been pretty vocal with you and Leonard, the singing and everything. It has been a personal phone call that you've told us about. Is it getting out of hand, this personal stuff?
Maybe. I mean, I think we just have very different senses of humour. You know, I think Britain, you know, and the sarcasm and all that kind of thing. I mean, he phoned me once, you know, screaming and shouting. And he's made several threats to me. But one, his threats like have no relevance and couldn't bother me in the slightest. But two, he doesn't really get the back and forth. So, I mean, ultimately, I think we're good for each other. Like, he doesn't stop talking about me in America. And obviously my profile's smaller in America than it is in the UK. No one really knows who he is in the UK. A lot more people know who he is in the UK, but he doesn't really get that. So to him, he takes it personally, which is a bit sad, and I understand that, but I'm just going to speak my mind. Like, if some guy's going to say that he's going to stomp me out or he's going to smack me when he sees me or something, I mean, one, he's a 60-year-old man, like, you know, but two, he talks about being professional, but If that's how he wants to be, it's no problem. You know, I'm not going to start cowering and saying, oh, I'm sorry, Leonard, I don't want to upset you, because fuck him. At the end of the day, I'll talk how I want to talk, and I'll say what I want to say. And Leonard Ellaby, you know, has never really, you know, when you look at my resume and what we've done internationally in terms of major events,
it's been massive.
We're on another level. I respect what Leonard does in business, and he's been around and he's been involved in some big shows. But you know, when he talks about saying I'm the biggest clown in boxing, when you look at what we're doing, when you look at our resume, you know, I think he looks silly. He knows how good we are, but we're coming into his territory to try and take over, and I'm being met with fierce resistance from everybody, which is flattering, because they know how good we are and they know the potential we have. So whether it's Espinoza, Ellaby, DeBella, Arum, all these people are desperate to keep me out. But that's exciting to me, because if I went in there and everyone was my friend, I'd know they had no fear of me. So I'm going nowhere. I'm going to get, you know, on everyone's nerves, and I'm not going to stop, but I'm going to make boxing great again in America.
I always say this, boxing is sport, sport is competition. It's a competition, whether you're in the media or promotion.
But that's how we run our business.
Yep.
We are sportsmen who have failed, me and my dad, but everything is a game to us, you know, in terms of competition and sport. So our sport is beating everybody else, and we won't stop till we do.
Eddie Hearn, thank you for your time. Thank you for all that you've done down here in Australia as well.
Just
it hasn't gone unnoticed. I'm going to see you again for Canelo Triple G, September the 17th, Las Vegas.
Cheers, mate.